Hello everyone! Today we are going to be debunking neuromyths. So let's get started. The neuromyth we are going to be exploring today is the left brain, right brain myth. The myth in summary is that your talents and personalities depend on which hemisphere dominates your brain. If you are left-brained, then you are logical, mathematical, and scientific. If you are right-brained, then you are emotional, artistic, and creative. Well, the left brain, right brain theory is a neuromyth. In other words, the concept that you are left-brained or right-brained stems from misconceptions about how our brain works. In order to debunk the left brain, right brain myth with science, let's first explore where the myth originates from. In 1960, American neuropsychologist Roger W. Sperry was studying treatments for epilepsy. In the process, he performed the split brain experiment, which involved cutting patients' corpus callosums, or the part of the brain that connects the two brain hemispheres. Then, Sperry asked patients to perform different tasks. When patients were working with their left hand, which is controlled by the right hemisphere, they were better at tasks that involve spatial awareness and emotions. On the other hand, patients working with their right hands, and therefore using their left hemispheres, were better at language and finding patterns. This concept of the left and right sides of the brain having different functions quickly became popular. In 1979, the popular book Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain was published. This made people think, oh, right side means creativity and better at drawing. The left side means better at logic and factual things. Well, as much as the whole left brain, right brain theory is a neuromyth, some parts of Sperry's split brain experiment actually told the truth about how our brain functions. Sperry was right in that the human brain is lateralized. This means that some functions of the brain are mainly performed on one side, or one hemisphere over the other. For example, the left hemisphere is where both Broca's area that helps people speak words and Wernicke's area that helps people understand the meaning of language are located. So, it can be said that the language functions are left lateralized. That is, the language functions of our brain are mainly controlled in the left hemisphere. Wait a minute. You might be wondering, doesn't that mean that if someone is good at language, a left lateralized function, then they are left-brained, right? Well, let's dig deeper into the scientific evidence that speak otherwise. Evidence number 1. Lateralization is local, not general. For example, consider the left lateralized language functions. If another section of the brain makes a strong connection to these language-controlling areas, this section might feel a figurative pull towards the left hemisphere and become more left lateralized. However, this definitely does not mean that all functions of the brain feel the same left pull. Basically, lateralization of certain brain functions cannot be generalized to mean that one side is generally dominant or have stronger neural connections within the hemisphere compared to the other. Evidence number 2. The two hemispheres of the brain are meant to work together. Let's take a step back from the left means logical and right means creative myth and take a look at what the left brain and right brain was initially meant to do in our ancestors. Scientists have shown in toads that the right brain is in charge of reacting to sudden changes, like the appearance of a predator, and that the left brain is in charge of habitual behavior, like something as basic as eating. While this lateralization makes it easy for the toad to do both things at once, if one hemisphere were dominant over the other, we would have toads that are excellent at evading predators but unable to hunt, or toads that are great at hunting but constantly eaten by predators. And do you see how absurd that sounds? Almost every toad you've seen is able to do both things, right? This basically demonstrates that even though our brains are lateralized, the hemispheres are supposed to work together, communicating through the corpus callosum, or the section that connects the two hemispheres that we just talked about. So now that we have debunked the neuromyth, there are still several steps we need to take. First of all, we need different ways to think about our strengths and weaknesses, so that instead of thinking that being left-brained or right-brained define our strengths and weaknesses, we can continue to develop many skills throughout our lifetimes. Secondly, we need schools and workplaces to know that the left brain, right brain theory is a neuromyth and to stop enforcing certain educational and working systems depending on one's brain dominance. And last but not least, know that the left brain, right brain quizzes are just for your fun.